Hello artists, and welcome back to Art with Mrs. Kellogg. This week we are going to celebrate and honor all our amazing moms. I thought since Mother's Day is fast approaching, we could create an art piece for our mom. That art piece, you can use it as a gift, or you could even turn it into a special card for your mother. And after you finish the project, write a special thank you letter to your mom. Or create a poem of appreciation inspired by your mom. Now, meet me over at my workspace because I want to tell you a little bit more about the art lesson and the art supplies you will need. This is an example of the Mother's Day art project we are going to create today. And as you can tell, we are going to use the art of collage. And do you remember what collage means? That's right. It is the art of layering paper. And that is exactly what we are going to do. Now let me tell you the art supplies you will need for today's project. You're going to need paper, and the size and color choice of the paper is up to you. You can even paint your paper before you start your project. So if you're going to do that, you're going to need a brush, a watercolor set, a cup filled with water, and a paper towel. And since we're collaging, you're going to need some paper to collage with. So that can be scrap paper, it could be magazine paper, it could be a newspaper, construction paper, or paper that you've painted. I always like to put all my scrap paper into a bag, and that is the paper I use for collaging. The other paper you'll need is some green construction paper, and you can tear or cut your rectangular stems ahead of time. You'll also need some paper to make your hand and arm out of. The color choice for that is going to be up to you. But one thing I want to remind you of, if you are using a darker color, make sure your background's lighter. And if you're using a lighter color, make sure your background's a little darker to make your hand stand out in your artwork. You will also need a pencil with an eraser, a glue stick, and a scissors. And don't forget to put down that art mat or newspaper before you start your project. Those are the supplies you will need for today's art project. Now would be a great time for you to pause the video, set up your workspace, gather your supplies, and meet me back here, and we will start collaging our Mother's Day art project. Did you get your materials? Great, then let's get started. There are a few things that you want to make sure you have prepared ahead of time. If you decide to paint your background paper, make sure you paint it ahead of time, let it dry. Then it'll be ready to collage on top of. The other thing you want to prepare ahead of time are the stems of the flowers. So as you notice, I have already cut my rectangular shapes out, and I have my collage paper ready to go. Now I'm ready to create my hand and my flower shapes. So the first thing I do is I put the paper that I'm going to use for the hand. And then I place the hand I don't write with down on my paper. So you're probably going to notice I'm left-handed. So I've put my right hand down. Now, if you write with your right hand, you might want to put your left hand down. So I'm going to place that down, and now I'm going to trace my hand. So I'm going to start from here. And I have my hand. Now I'm ready to cut out my hand. So when I do this, I want to cut away from myself. And I really want to take my time. If it's easier, you can always cut your paper smaller. And that makes it a little easier to work with. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it, because that's going to give your artwork some more personality and look more unique. I'm going to continue cutting out my hand template. Now would be a great time for you to pause the video, draw your hand template, and then cut it out. And then meet me back here, and we will start collaging and drawing and cutting out our flowers. Did you draw and cut out your hand template? Great, then let's start collaging. So before I glue my hand template, I first want to place the stems of my flowers. So I'm going to put in 5 stems. I'm going to place them first and then I'll glue them. And I want to keep them spread out enough so I'll have space on the top to glue the flower tops in there. So some stems I can put higher, some stems can place lower. Then once I'm happy with my placement, then I can start gluing them. So you want to put the glue on the back of your stem. So my last 2 stems over on this side, I'm not going to press those down quite yet. What I'm going to do is I am going to set up the placement of the hand. I like that placement. Now I'm going to put some glue on the hand, and I'm putting glue on the side that has the pencil. So I'm going to flip it over and use this side. Place it at the edge here. Now, here comes a little tricky part because I want to lift these because I want to make it look like the hand's holding the bouquet of flowers. Tuck that thumb underneath, and then I'm going to press those down. And for my artwork, what I want to do is I have, as you can tell, I've got a lot of these end pieces. I'm going to trim that with my scissors. And my next step is to cut out my flower tops and leaves, and then I'll glue them. But before I do that, I want to let you know that if you would like to draw in your flower tops and add leaves that way, and then later maybe adding oil pastel or marker or colored pencil to your flowers, you can do that. But I'm going to show you how to collage the flower tops in. My inspiration is circles, so that's what I'm going to use. When you're making your flower tops, I find it helpful, if you're using painted paper or whatever paper you're using, turn it over to the other side. And for example, for me, I'm going to draw circles. So I want to draw one big circle here. And then I'll cut that out. And I try to go a little bigger than the circle. So I kind of cut around that. And then I've got a flower top. And you can do the same thing. Since I want to put a darker shape in there, I would do the same thing. Just draw a smaller circle and then cut it out. So again, I recommend trying to cut around that. Now that I have the top of my flowers cut out, I'm ready to glue. What I think is helpful is to take the smaller circles and glue them onto the bigger circle first. And I'm trying to get the center either lighter or darker than the actual round flower. Then place those flower tops on the stems and see what that looks like. Okay, so I like that, and now I'm ready to glue. After you get your flower tops glued on, now it's time to think about the leaves. So you have some options. If you want to draw your leaves in, you can do that, or you can cut your leaves. So 2 ways to do this. One is just by free cutting, thinking of a shape. Could be an oval, triangle, or a triangle and an oval. It's up to you. What I'm going to do is think kind of a triangle shape, and I want them pretty small. And then if I can tuck them under, I'll do that, or I'll put them on top. So just place them and see what you like, and then you can start gluing them. Another option is to draw your leaves first and then cut them out. So for example, if you just wanted to draw a big oval, you can do that. You can draw a triangle into an oval, or you could just draw a triangle, and then you would cut these out. Remember, if you draw your leaves and then cut them out, the side that has the pencil, you want to flip that side over, glue, and then place where you think the leaf would look best. I'm going to finish cutting out my leaves and gluing them to the stem along with my flower tops. Now it's your turn to cut out your leaves and your flower tops and start collaging them to your stems to create your bouquet. Well, that wraps up our Mother's Day inspired art lesson. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I want you to always remember when you are creating art to relax, Have lots of fun and keep creating. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.